How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, we are doing another Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, and this time
I thought we were in timely months.
we are doing timely characters. That's what this whole month is.
But you're reviewing the top.
We're reviewing the Human Top.
The top is a Flash villain.
We're not doing the Top from DC comic books. That one came out in the 70s. This is the Human Top that actually came out from Timely Comics in the 40s. Yes, that's what we're doing this one. We're doing the Human Top. Now, originally, I thought that there was only one appearance of the Human Top, because I had seen him in Red Raven comic books, but apparently he had a second appearance in something called Tough Kid Squad comics. Never knew that one existed at all. Timely has a lot of obscure comic books that I've only recently become aware of when I started doing Timely Month. But this time we are doing the Human Top. He is a scientifically created superhero. It's kind of weird how the generation of his powers come about, and the one main issue I have with his powers is he has to cross his wrist to start the electrical current in his body that allows him to start spinning, and he has to uncross his wrists to stop spinning. But in the first story, and they do some of it in the second story, he's lifting things up while he's spinning, but he has to keep his wrists closed like this. It doesn't seem like it works very well. I mean, you can let me know if you found a way to make it, what he does, work while he's spinning. I don't, you'll see. He only had 2 appearances in Red Raven and Tough Kid Squad, so we're going to go ahead and cover both stories. So there's really nothing to be left out. You're going to see everything that he has with 2 stories, like when we did Secret Circle, who only had 2 stories. So let's go ahead and get into this Lost Heroes of the Golden Age with the Human Top. Okay, this will just be a quick lead-in, considering I'm going to cover both of these. The Human Top, Bruce Barfell, first appeared in Red Raven Comics #1 in 1940. Publisher was Timely, and on the wiki page it said that he was created by Dick Briefer, but if you click on the Human Top #1, it says under his title, by Dunbar. Now, I am not familiar with the name Dunbar. I am familiar with the name Dick Briefer. So Dunbar may just be a pen name, but Dick Briefer is actually one that I am familiar with. Now, from the first appearance of the Human Top, his second in Red Raven, the second one would be in Tough Kid Squad Comics #1, which is also just a one-shot like the Red Raven comics. Never heard of Tough Kid Squad before. That one was a new one for me. Now, the Human Top is the very last story in that comic, and it is on a shorter story than the first one. So I don't know if it was a popularity or if they were just trying to find a quick hero that hadn't really been covered. In the first and second appearance, he completely has a costume color change. You'll see it when it goes from one to the other. The change is jarring. The symbol on the chest remains the same, but the color palette is just a complete shift. He has a couple of special abilities that you'll be able to find. He can travel at a faster than normal speed because of the fact that he can turn into a Human Top, like a mini cyclone, and that allows him to travel at faster speeds. He can fly. Using his spinning ability, he has been able to drill through solid objects, has deflected bullets because of the speed that he's traveling at, and when they tried using a flamethrower, he pushed the flames back on someone as well. Now, I don't know how being a cyclone has translated into him having enhanced strength, because on the power grid on the wiki page they put his strength at 2, But in the first story, not only was he able to move a yacht by getting it behind it and using some centrifugal force, he is able to lift up a lifeboat with 2 individuals in it. So that's a bit of super strength that is a lot higher than what a strength of level 2 should be. So he is a scientist-created superhero. And I'm only putting the cover of the first 2 issues here because we're going to cover everything. So there's nothing I really need to show that you're not going to see later. So this is just a brief overview. So let's go ahead and cover the Human Top. It's a little bit silly, the origin, but it's the Golden Age. Everything was thrown against the wall to see if it would stick. This one really didn't, but you'll see. So let's go ahead and cover the Human Top. No cover appearances, no featured story. The origin is in his first appearance. The Human Top by Dunbar. In the castle, a scientist is experimenting on young Bruce Bravel. He is seeking a formula to nourish the human body by electrical currents instead of food. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning pierces the castle. If we could find another way to replenish our body that doesn't require food, I'm all for that. Keep the research up. Professor Martha, are you all right? Are you all right? I believe that this is Bruce's love interest, but this will be her only appearance, and she barely factors into the story. Revived, the professor tests the electrical currents in the body. Strange. The currents I inject as you flow to the right of your body, and the current injected by the lightning flows to the left, opposing magnetic forces. That sounds completely ridiculous. I mean, wouldn't getting a hit like having forces of lightning flowing through your body? I don't know. It's the story that we're setting up with. Okay. So he wants Bruce to cross his risks. As Bravel joins his risk, the beats of the pulse are coordinated, combining the 2 currents in his body, which causes him to spin around like a top. Now, the scientist says, you have supernatural powers. No, he doesn't. That's not supernatural. We've covered supernatural people on this channel. There's nothing close to supernatural. It's scientifically altered. You could have said, you have been given superpowers or superb powers. It's not supernatural. And you even say that when he joins his risks, he becomes a human dynamo. If it was supernatural powers, he wouldn't become a dynamo. Okay. He says, spinning like that's kept me dizzy. We'll call you the Top, and you will be savior of the oppressed and the innocent. He's Captain America. Anyways, he dons a uniform, and he goes out there to help people. Soon after he goes out, he sees 2 cars speeding down towards a railroad track, and they're about to collide with the train. So, crossing his risk, Bravel becomes a spinning whirlwind and takes off like an airplane. I hope you're flying a lot faster than that, because you're digging a trench in the dirt. You better be moving faster than an airplane. He cuts a big trench in the road. Someone's going to have to fix that. And the cars impact into the ditch before they hit the train. Saved from sudden death, the gangsters and their pursuers land in the newly cut ditch. Now, there seems to be a shootout between the cops and the robbers. I can't believe I just said that phrase. Anyways, Bruce is on the other side of the cars, closer to where the cops are. But you see in the next panel, he crosses his wrist and takes out the bad guys. But he's on the position of the side with the cops. If he did that, he would have to go through them before he gets to the bad guys, and there's no indication that he passed the cops at all. Okay, so he takes out the guys. Wow, what a guy spinning off with the bank loot. You didn't know that was a guy. All you saw was a cyclone. Okay. So we see on the bank it says Horace Van der Vee. Horace Van der Vee? Okay. President of the National Bank. And he opens the door and this guy is shocked and behind him. What's the trouble? Go away from here, you. And Bruce decides to turn into the cyclone and barrel through the wall. How did you know that you could do that? I mean, a lot of superheroes have stress like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and tear through the brick wall. How did you know? Anyways, if you're Vanderveer, that's a lot bigger than what we saw on the sign. Vanderveer. Okay, how am I saying this? Yeah, Vanderveer. I was right. Okay. Here's your stolen money. Be more careful next time. And he pulls out his gun. Stay where you are, you thief! And he unloads at him. And he quickly turns into the human dynamo, and the bullets bounce off like they were rubber. You're a nasty fella, aren't you? You don't appreciate my good turn in returning the money? I do believe one good turn deserves another. Why? Really? Okay, so he throws him up on the chandelier. I mean, why would you yell thief? You can see that he's giving the money back. The following day, the Top and Martha Davis are startled by mysterious man averts crash, captures robbers, steals money bag, escapes. Human whirlwind sought by police. That byline is put in an odd location. They did it just so they can include it into the panel. So, my gun-wielding banker didn't return the money. You must find him, Bruce. Think of the poor depositors. Poor depositors? Really? Okay, so he goes to the home of Vanderveer's home. Oh, he would be the butler. I see. But when he goes to the bank, it's anyway. I'll say so. It was the Vanderveer's home. Okay, there's a couple of crooks there, and they knocked him out, and they have him strapped to a piece of wood, and they take him to a cliff. Let's shoot together so we don't know who killed him. You know, that is very similar to a execution by firing squad, where one of the members of the firing squad, be it 5, 6, 7 shooters, one has the real bullet and the other has blanks, so that when the person gets shot and dies, they don't know who was the killer, because they didn't know which one had the real bullet and which one had the blanks. So, yeah, this actually follows in line with that. The paneling is off here. The two smaller panels should lead into the larger, not small, large, small. Anyways, as they're getting ready to shoot, the rain has saturated the wood and made it a conductor of the Top's currents. Now, at first, I said BS. I was like, wood doesn't work that way. But then I got curious and looked it up, and soaked wood absolutely does act as a conductor. So that's a pretty good bit of science right there. I'm very impressed, Timely. So yeah, the wood soaked in water does act as a conductor for electricity. So that was a very good piece of science they put there. So he's able to spin around like a top, bounces off the bullets, and he's going to take care of the criminals now. Now talk fast before I whirl you over the cliff. And he's not apart from letting people die. Their safety is not his concern. Come on, rats, talk. And they all talk. We're part of the Vanderveer mob. He staged a number of phony bank robberies. Being on the inside, he makes it easy for us by sending the guards away at the right time. So he throws all of them up in the trees, as he'll be back later. Now, he finds Vanderveer's yacht and makes sure that he lands with force, because he wants them to know that he's there. If the ship returns to shore, no harm will come to the passengers. Let's get him! So he starts throwing the crooks around. This is more fun than twisting my way out. Okay. I mean, you're a human top. That's what you're supposed to be. Okay, he's too tough for bullets, but this will stop him. So we see Vanderveer's got himself a big gun. Snapping into action, the top reverse English on the cannonball. I have no idea what that means. And that obviously looks like a bullet, not a cannonball. You guys are firing a big gun. You aren't firing a cannon. I don't know what reverse English means, and that is not a cannonball. Now, it looks like the bullet came back and landed on someone. I'll take matters into my own hands. So he goes into the water and acts as a propeller for the ship. And under the top's power, the boat cuts through the water like an aquaplane. Back in town, Vander's henchmen have aroused the citizen into inaugurating a search for the top. For robbery, the Patravoni Bank, and other crimes. They don't specify any other crimes, it just says other crimes. While Vanderveer's thugs act under orders. The spinning thief is also responsible for all the fires, deaths, and illness. Find him, kill him. You have no evidence of any of this. You mustn't harm him. He's innocent. He is your friend. He's responsible for all your deaths. You know that guy that died of old age at 95 years old because he was old? Well, that's the top's fault. Anyways. Back on the yacht, the Vanderveer takes a lifeboat. Now, there is an arrow here. This arrow was not actually needed. Where you had him tied up on the log, that might have been more benefit of an arrow. This doesn't need an arrow. I hate arrows in comic books. I know how to read a comic book. The arrows are unnecessary. They plagued the Golden Age more than the word queer, which is actually in one of these two stories also. So he notices the lifeboat, I guess, leaving for some reason. Attaching himself to the boat, the top converts into a flying craft. There's no measure of your strength listed. How are you able to lift up the lifeboat yourself? You lifted technically 3 people in a lifeboat because you're lifting yourself, the 2 individuals, and the boat. How did you manage that? I mean, you're spinning around. Your wrists are crossed while you're spinning. You shouldn't be able to grab onto anything while you're spinning. Talk fast. Where's the money? The top lands the boat on the top of a public square flagpole. That's very impressive, considering it's not falling off of there. Actually, it looks like there's 3 heads in the boat. So he lifted up 3 people. I'd like to know how you balanced the yacht so well. That is more of an impressive feat than the fact that you got it up there. The infuriated masses hope for the opportunity to catch the top. The fire department got there real quick. And part of the F is gone, so it looks like tire department. Okay. Scooping up the mayor and chief of police, the top takes off from the ground. And he gets onto the boat. Now there only seems to be 4 people. Okay, so he takes the mayor and the chief of police up onto the yacht. The lifeboat, not explaining about how he's able to carry things while spinning, and then balances those 2 on top of the yacht as well. So everybody is balanced on top of the yacht, right, or the lifeboat, on top of a flagpole, and nobody's explaining how the boat is not falling. Now, Vanderveer, confess. Do it fast, or I'll spin you to kingdom come. I confess, my gang stole $500,000. It's in the vault at my home. You mean you are head of the Calusi's terrorists? Sure he does. Okay. My friends, the top is our friend. He has smashed the gang that menaced us for years. He will return only when we are in trouble and need him. You didn't say anything about taking the boat down. I mean, I think that's the mayor. But Is the boat still on the flagpole? Are you going to take the boat down? Follows these breathtaking characters in every month of Marvel Comics. Timely. Oh, yeah, that's right. The first comic released by Timely was Marvel Comic. And in that comic, you will find the Human Torch, Submariner, Electro, the the Marvel of the Age Masked Raider, Kazar the Great, or is Electro the Marvel of the Age? Okay. I think it's Electro the Marvel of the Age. It didn't really put it in there very well. The Masked Raider, Kazar the Great. Kazar? Is this the same Kazar that we find in the Savage Land? That's all the way back in the Golden Age. I'm going to have to see if those are the same person. The Angel and Ferret. You had a character named Ferret back then? That definitely needs more investigation. Okay, let's get on to the second story. Alright, story number 2. The title is different. The costume is different. There's a lot more vibrant colors in this one, but there is no artist name on the cover, so we don't know if this is done by any of the same people. I'm not actually sure when this comic came out. Okay, so this comic came out in 1941. It says December of 1941, but the cover date says March 1942, which doesn't make any sense at all. So the Red Raven came out in March, so it's not like this character was just sitting on the shelf for, like 5, 6, 7 years, and then they suddenly remembered that they had him and decided to use him. He was used relatively quickly. But there is a big change in just the overall tone. Lightning strikes a laboratory while Professor Ray Moore, an electrical wizard, is subjecting a young assistant to the experiment through the freak accident. Opposing currents enter the assistant's body. When he crosses his wrist, the currents whirl through his body and cause him to spin with blurring inhuman speed. He becomes known as the Human Top. They made a point of definitely saying his name in the first issue. So the fact that they're not even calling him Bruce in this issue is really strange. In Ray Moore's library, sitting here without your costume, no one will ever think that you are the Human Top, the fastest, most dangerous human being alive. A lot of good it's going to do me. I haven't found a job for me in weeks. So even as they're just sitting here talking, they're still not saying his name. I mean, did they forget about his name or something? I'm not even sure the Professor had a name in the first issue either. It was just known as the Professor. So that's weird. Okay. So he doesn't have anything to do, and he's sitting here smoking a cigarette. We didn't see him smoking in the first issue. I mean, everybody's got to have a hobby. At that moment, the Western Limited streaks across the plains at 80 miles per hour. And the whole train wrecks. Good heavens, they looks like a whole bunch of crooks have put these logs on the track. Good heavens, someone has good heavens ... Someone has ... We're going to ... Okay. I'm just going to go with that. So he crashes into the logs and all the trains start flying off the track. That would have to be a very significant obstruction. I'm pretty sure the train could have blasted through those. I mean, I've seen accident videos, and I see trains plowing through semi-trucks without this railing. And this didn't look like a lot of logs. It looked like a fair amount, but I've seen trains go through, not 1940s trains. Maybe 1940 trains were weaker. Anyways, the train wreck happens, and this guy's on a horse. A ranger in the distance hears the crash, sees the wreck through his field glasses. A train wreck. Better get word for them to send out help right away. So he gets on the ham radio and starts, broadcasting what happened. No good programs on. Let's see what's on the shortwave. Some of those hams are interesting. Back in Professor Raymond's residence. Before the Ranger's announcement is finished, a human top leaps to his feet. A train wreck. This means work for me. So long, Professor. On the professor's roof, the human top crosses his wrists, and the Human Torch will be across the country in no time. You still haven't said Bruce's name. Look, it's a cyclone. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's too small. What else could it be? Not plane, not bird, not even frog. Okay, that's okay. Ahead of the human top at the wreck, the perpetrators grimly go on with their work. This is a real classy train robbery. We're miles from anywhere, and everyone aboard the train is either dead or injured. Wow, okay. So, as they're robbing the train, one guy goes, "Hey, stop that. Leave the payroll gold alone." An injured conductor, "Cut him down, boys." And there only seems to be 2 bank robbers. Who are the boys? Okay, when we get to the next panel and we see people running away, it does seem to be more. But all we saw were 2. So the cyclone comes in just the nick of time before they're able to take out the conductor. Help, a cyclone struck me. You said it. Looks like I arrived just in time. As the human top uncrosses his wrist and lands, the strange aircraft approaches overhead. And the criminals start to escape, and he says that he could go after them, but there's people to help. So we see him start to exhume people from the wreckage. I'd better open these cars so that when the ambulance arrives, they can get the injured out in a hurry. So we see him opening up car doors, and this beats using a can opener, and he spins himself to open up some of the parts of the train, like we saw in the first story where he opened a brick wall spinning through it, and gets the people out and allows them to go to safety. "Say, you've been a big help. Who are you anyhow?" "Just call me the Human Top." You think it's a queer name now? Now, Doc, so long. I better get to the hospital myself. I'm seeing things. I'm going blammy. You're a Southern Ranger. You wouldn't use the word blammy. I mean, you obviously have to be a ranger. You were on a horse. And it says you were a ranger. It means you're from the southern. That means you're from south. You wouldn't say blammy. The Human Torch covers many miles in a few seconds, and soon there's the rocket ziff. I'll trail behind it and see where the mob hangs out. So he follows the rocket, and he sees them landing in a small area. Pretty clever. They can hide that thing in a small space, hiding out in the abandoned mine shaft. So he goes over, and he talks about how the door has to be a foot thick, which is obviously no problem for the Top because he spins right through it. I do have an issue with this. You're a squishy meat sack. I don't care how fast you spin. You are not made of metal. You are not getting through a steel door that's a foot thick. You're a fleshy meat sack. Even spinning at a high rate of speed, you crash into something and you become a bloody meat sack against a brick wall. You just do it a lot faster than we would. You're not going to cut through things. No, I mean, you don't show yourself having protected field, generating any centrifugal force. I'm stretching disbelief that you were able to stop the bullets in a cannonball. But you're not getting through a steel door. You're a tough freak, all right? But you're bucking the Red Terror. I have too many big job plans to bother with you. Come out here and say that. Oh? Pets, huh? So these mountain lions, I guess, start attacking him. How do you like this merry-go-round, kitty? And he grabs them and spins, which brings up something I mentioned in my first story. First of all, I don't know how you're grabbing something in a cyclone because you got to keep your wrist crossed. Second of all, he grabs them and starts spinning them around. But when he grabbed people in the other story, they weren't spinning. He was grabbing them straight up. Okay, so he dispatches all of the... I'm guessing they're mountain lions. And mountain lions do look different than regular lions. Play Red Dead and get killed by a mountain lion. You'll see how it's different. Could be cougars, maybe. Very clever. You're finished now, you human top. Okay, you didn't give him your name, but you're spinning, so that's fair. Bullets won't stop you, maybe flames will. Think you're hot stuff, don't you? The one-liners. Okay. And then the next panel, never play with fire, boys. So he spins real fast, and he turns the flames back on them. See, he's not above killing people, or at least letting them die by their own hands. The Red Terror's office, they're gone, cleaned out. I've got to find them and get the stolen money back, and bringing the crooks to justice. So the Red Terror and his gang are planning to cause an avalanche onto the Human Top, and they actually do. The Human Top is caught by a rumbling of rocks before he can start his powers. Okay, that's a lot of rocks. You're dead now. The Human Top has been killed. He's dead. And it even said before he can start his powers. So he wasn't able to spin to stop the debris from killing him. That's a lot of rocks. He's dead now. Taking advantage of the Human Top's predicaments, the Red Terror and his thieves board the rocket zip, head to the reservoir up the cannon. I'll make sure the spinning spool dies. This bomb will crack open the dam. Well, no, he's already dead. The avalanche killed him. The Red Terror has bombed the dam. I can get myself out of the way of the water myself, but I've got to stop it some way. Hundreds of farms and homes at the other end will be washed out. How did you get out from under the rocks? Were you able to cross your arms and cross and then turn into the top? Besides the fact that you're already dead because you had an avalanche in a mine quarry. You died when that avalanche fell on top of you. It wasn't the snowy avalanche, it was a rocky avalanche. You're dead. You can't be doing any of this. If I can drill out great chunks into the cliff. So he goes to the sides of the cliff and starts crawling. How are you carving through things? You're a meat sack. Anyways, he carves out a number of rocks from the sides of the cliff to act as a new natural dam so that the flooding doesn't happen to the farmers below. That prevents the flood. Now they get the Red Terror. The Human Top swiftly catches up with the Zep. There's only one thing to do. Destroy these vile murderers and their equipment. Help, we're falling. We're done for. We don't actually know how far up they were, but he lets them fall. Back at Raymond's in street clothes again. What happened? Were you able to be of service? I messed around a bit. It'll help pass the time anyhow. Spin your way into further adventures with the Human Top. There will be no more Human Top stories. This one seemed kind of not nearly as intense as the first one. And I went ahead because it's only 7 panels. I wanted to even it out. So I took a picture of this right here. I like this. The greatest yet. The greatest collection of heroes and blood-curdling tales ever to appear before the public. The greatest number of thrills ever covered in one comic magazine. Read about the great Human Torch, the great Captain America, the great Wizard, the great Destroyer, the great Submariner. You could have used other ways to describe them. They didn't all have to be the great. For the greatest comic magazine you'll ever read, don't miss all Winter Squadrons number 3. Okay, so that's all about the Human Top. All right, I hope you like this one. This is obscure. I mean, this is one I really had to look for. We've still got some time left in Timely Comics, so if there's an obscure or a non-well hero that you'd like to see before the end of the month, you can let me know. I've got stuff in mind. If you don't, either way, works fine for me. And like I said, I hope you enjoy this. Timely Month still continues through the month of June. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.